I saw an ad recently for a hair product company for some sort of spray that would make your hair air dry twice as fast. As someone possessed of a great deal of curly hair that takes an entire day to dry, I completely understand the appeal. But I used to work as a hairstylist and was really interested in cosmetic chemistry, so I needed to look at the ingredients list to see how this stuff was supposed to work. It's literally aerosolized cornstarch. That got me thinking, though. 18th century hair powder, the white stuff you see in portraits like this, was also made primarily of grain starch. It's super similar to modern dry shampoo, to the point where I have put my 18th century hair powder into an old dry shampoo bottle and used that instead. Hi, I'm V, fashion history and cosmetic chemistry nerd, here to provide your regularly scheduled dose of social anthropology cleverly disguised under pretty dresses. I do love getting to trot out ye old cosmetology license now that I no longer do hair full time, especially when I can drag misleading marketing as I do it. Products like dry shampoo and this magical fast-drying cornstarch spray are marketed as new innovations, but the idea of putting powdered starch in your hair is centuries old. So let's talk about the history of putting starch in your hair, and while we're at it, a few other hair products that are older than you think. I'm gonna try not to talk for too long, but we'll do our best to stay hydrated anyways. Today's research fuel tea of choice is a lovely matcha I just got from Peak, who have been so kind as to sponsor this video and send me free tea and more. I am quite frankly terrible at staying hydrated, which is why I drink so much tea. I don't like drinking water, and at least tea is delicious. Peak's Radiant Skin Duo helps to clarify and nourish your skin from within, and comes with this adorable little beaker for measuring. There's the Sun Goddess Matcha, which is full of skin brightening antioxidants, chlorophyll, and 35% more L-theanine to promote calm and reduce anxiety. It's ceremonial grade and quadruple screened for toxins and other nasties. I love this for afternoon tea time so I can keep my energy and focus up without overdoing the caffeine. The other half of the duo is the BT Fountain Electrolytes, which also have clinically proven ceramides for bonus skin hydration. They're a big part of what I put on my face, so this is like getting to drink my skincare routine. If you avoid animal products, added sugar, preservatives, or artificial ingredients, you can have this. I reach for this anytime I get sudden onset brain fog. I quite frankly find most electrolyte drinks so foul tasting I never use them when I should, but not this one. It smells like yuzu and tastes more like water than anything else. You can also combine it with the matcha or any other tea you like, of which Peak has quite a variety. If you are also thinking it sounds like tea time, Peak is offering my viewers 15% off and free shipping on the Radiant Skin Duo, link in the description. All right, time for me to run my mouth as usual. Dry shampoo is honestly a bit of a misleading term because the way it's used these days, this stuff is not going to make your hair feel like it's just been washed with water and shampoo. It's a bit more like how if your face gets oily, you can put on powder to absorb the oil. The oil and powder are both still in your hair, but your hair doesn't feel as greasy. However, the use of powder to keep one's hair fresh and nice smelling goes back at least as far as the 12th century in Western Europe. The Trotula, a compiled treatise of women-focused medical knowledge associated with the possibly fictionalized or amalgamized, that's not even a word. Okay, how would you say it? Stop trying to give me your job. The dictionary says it's amalgamated. Okay, fine, amalgamated. Anyways, Trotta of Salerno. You can't just use words like that and not explain what the heck you mean. Fine, I guess you're right. So, Trotta of Salerno, the 12th century Italian female medical practitioner associated with this text, might or might not be either A, fictional person created to build marketing mythos around the text, B, a real person who was fictionalized when the Trotula got popular, or C, an amalgamation of multiple female physicians from this time, or some combination. But that's not the point. In addition to a variety of treatments for medical conditions in women, there is a section called Women's Cosmetics, which contains a recipe for hair powder. It's made from dried roses, rosewater, clove, nutmeg, watercress, and galangal, so not a starch-based powder, but the usage is kind of similar to modern dry shampoo. Part the hair out, sprinkle it on, comb through, and your hair will smell nice. My friend Jackie of Vinegar Crafts actually has this powder in her shop, so I can confirm it smells fantastic. And a little bird told me she's working on another version with more of a fresh and floral scent for spring. Hair powder really came into vogue in the Baroque era in Europe, resulting in such famous portraits as these. The usual story is that one of Louis XIV's mistresses popularized it at the French court, but the source I have seen for this was a book written in 1770, so a grain or two of salt may be in order. We do know that it was incredibly popular throughout the 18th century and formed a pivotal part of hair care and styling. Hair was brushed or combed with pomatum made from conditioning ingredients like fats or oils, then powdered to provide body and grip. The Toilette de Flora, published in 1767 by Pierre-Joseph Bouhours, contains 19 or so different recipes for hair powder. One recipe for common powder begins, "The best starch dried is generally the basis of all hair powders," and this principle is reflected in the recipes. Most use a base of starch combined with various scented ingredients like rose, orange flower, or musk, but occasionally less familiar things like powdered cuttlefish bone makes an appearance. Honestly, the journey from hair powder to dry shampoo seems mostly to be one of technology and marketing. The principles are still the same. Now we have such new inventions as aerosol bottles and aluminum starch. We think of washing hair as our primary method of hair care, so of course, dry shampoo is a more marketable name. And I think they're having this little boom because while we as a society still prioritize washed hair, we're getting away from the norm of daily washing. Please click over there for a video about that. So there's a convenient space in the market for a stopgap product. The recent changes in how we see hair washing have led to a rise in the availability of sulfate-free and gentle shampoos, which as a curly-haired person, I am very much here for. It's a little ironic to be talking about sulfate-free shampoo as older than we think, even though it is, because sulfate shampoo is actually a lot newer than most of us think. It was only invented in the 1930s, prior to which most hair washing products were made from a mixture of soap and other ingredients such as fragrant-smelling herbs. The video I mentioned a minute ago has some more info about that also. Going back to the Middle Ages in Europe, the Trotula contains two recipes for washing hair. The first one is essentially very diluted lye with licorice and cyclamen added. Lye extracted from ashes was one of the most common cleansing agents in medieval Europe because you could make it for free. The other is if you wish to have hair soft and smooth and fine, and consists of hot water with natron and vetch. Natron is an equally old cleansing agent known today as soda ash, which I am most familiar with as a dye fixative for plant fibers like cotton and linen. Vetch is a type of plant with a variety of agricultural uses. Somebody who knows more than me about plants want to tell us what it's doing in a shampoo recipe? I am absolutely not saying washing one's hair with lye or natron is better than with shampoo. It is probably not. Don't try this at home. Outside of Europe, the variety and gentleness of sulfate-free hair washing options increases further. The term soapberry is used to describe multiple different plants, some native to India, some to North America, the Caribbean, and several Pacific islands. These plants produce saponins, a gentle cleansing agent, which is now coming back into use in the form of expensive face wash. There is definitely some orientalization going on in how these products are marketed. While it is true they have a long history of use in India, and that they can be gentler than sulfates or soap, the marketing often fails to find the line between here's a different thing to wash your face with and use this because it's exotic. Assuming they're not using the second sentiment deliberately. I've also read about quinoa saponins being used in South America. Since saponins don't taste very good, they would need to be rinsed from the quinoa before eating it. So you could use what was essentially a waste product to do your cleaning, much like medieval Europeans used wood ashes to make lye. As far as those slightly more recent historical shampoos, the soap-based ones, they're coming back into fashion as well, and it's driving me up a wall. I love shampoo and conditioner bars for so many reasons. They're easier to store and ship, don't come in plastic packaging, and I can actually travel with enough conditioner for all this nonsense. But rather than being shampoo, a lot of the shampoo bars out there are literally just soap. which is a completely different molecule than shampoo. Soap has an alkaline or basic pH, which can cause problems for cleaning hair and skin. Your hair and skin's happy pH is slightly acidic, and alkaline pH causes the hair strand to swell up and the outer layers of the hair cuticle to open. Super useful for when you're dyeing hair, but as part of regular hair care routine, with any frequency, it can make hair drier, brittle, and less manageable. Plenty of these shampoo bars that are just soap recommend vinegar rinses to restore the right pH, which you could just use a pH balanced shampoo. But I was curious if those went back in history too. So while I was reading the Trotula and Toilette de Flora, I poked around to see if vinegar hair rinses made an appearance. The Toilette de Flora does have a section titled Vinegars, but these are all described as being for skincare, tooth care, pest control, or hair dye, not as part of a hair cleaning routine. The Trotula likewise includes vinegar in some hair dye and pest control recipes, but not as hair care. The only hair care adjacent recipe I found is from L'Ornement des Dames, a 13th century Anglo-Norman text. It includes a dandruff treatment with a vinegar rinse that it says is in the Trotula, although after some amount of searching, I couldn't find any such recipe in the Trotula itself. Medieval writers would often try to legitimize their recipes by saying they were from a respected source, so I don't find this terribly surprising. Something I really wanted to get into the history of was flaxseed hair gel, because it's a bit of a staple in the modern curly hair community. Like, I have modern flaxseed gel products that I would recommend for certain of my clients. When I started researching though, I couldn't find any primary sources. Just about everyone I've seen talking about flaxseed gel in medieval Europe cites the same source, issues 144 and 145 of the Complete Anachronist, a research publication produced by the Society for Creative Anachronism, SCA for short. I'm not a member, but I have many friends who are, like my dear friend Opus Elenig, who put a whole lot of effort into trying to get these publications for me. The issue is, they're only available on paper, you have to be a member to purchase them, and the web portal for making such purposes was down while I was working on this video. So Courtney couldn't even order them for me. So, hey, SCA, is not being with the times part of your deal? It's a little hard to cite your publications as legit research if I can't even read them. Considering how they treated their DEI person though, are you really surprised? Yeah, seriously, SCA, get your act together. Thank you so much to Sunny, who was kind enough to digitize these herself for me and send them along literally an hour before I was going to record this. I swear, this section of the video has had like 3 last-minute rewrites at this point. The reason why I so badly wanted to get my grubby little claws on these publications is that anytime I see the broad historical use of something traced back to one single source, no matter when that source is from, eyebrows get raised, grains of salt get taken. Issue 144 has a section on the use of flaxseed gel, but the evidence given is highly circumstantial. I'm giving source names now, but haven't had the time to run them all down because, well, I needed to record in under an hour. A Weaver's Garden by Rita and Steve Buchanan is quoted as saying, "Soaked or boiled in water, flax seeds produce a thick, slimy mucilage that weavers used to size linen warp." Okay, so medieval Europeans knew you could make gel from flax seeds. But as for putting it in hair, Barbara Siegel, the author, says that this seems plausible because of medieval depictions of braided hair do not include hair ties, which could mean any number of things, including the artists didn't feel it was necessary to draw little bits of string, since we do know braids were being tied, taped, and fastened in any number of other ways. The author does mention a 16th century Spanish hair product recipe that includes flax seeds, among other ingredients, citing a book called Hair Care Recipes, which I was not able to find. The author says her most used sources were The Artifice of Beauty by Sally Pointer, which I will be buying, but could not get in time for this video, and the Museum of London's Dress Accessories 1150 through 1450, which I took a peek at online and didn't see anything about flaxseed gel. The only reference I saw elsewhere was in Encyclopedia of Hair, A Cultural History by Victoria Chernow to a medieval flaxseed gel with rosemary, but no citation was given. In conclusion, I concur with Barbara Siegel that the use of flaxseed hair gel is speculative but plausible. But I have major questions about why it's treated as a proven fact by all the people who cite the complete anachronist, and stop there instead of including any primary sources or things like Sally Pointer's book. Or the caveat about hair ties not showing up in art, because that is a big set of assumptions. Also, I really want to know how they kept the gel from growing mold. Present-day flaxseed gels are kept from going bad through the use of modern preservatives. Homemade ones spoil super fast, even with refrigeration. And before someone goes, but preservatives are bad for you, are mold and microbes preferable? Are those not bad for you? Is that the thinking? Anyways, I feel like this would be more a question for people who know about medieval food preservation methods, which is definitely not my area of expertise. If it is yours, you know where the comment section is. Please tell us. Medieval people liked to claim their recipes went back to insert famous person from the classical period, because their understanding of time meant that older knowledge was higher quality than new knowledge. Whereas we 21st century people have seen so much innovation during our lives, the idea that something new is also something improved is kind of a given. We assume that a new thing is automatically better than the old version. It's only recently that we as a society have started to re-examine some of the older methods of doing things, like washing our hair or reusable cleaning cloths, and consider whether or not they are better based on their merits and context rather than because they are new or old. This does not mean we're not falling into any of the same traps again. I have lost count of the number of natural beauty products I've seen that say, this is so healthy, people have used it for thousands of years, or thus and such exotic, non-white culture has used this star ingredient forever. Since ancient times, we have marketed beauty products by saying they were from ancient times. I think it's really interesting how this pattern of whether we idolize new innovations versus older practices ties into the cyclical nature of Western fashion and society's outlook on the future, but that is a whole nother video's worth of discussion there, so we'll put a pin in that for now. In conclusion, don't trust marketing to be anything other than marketing. Its job is to sell product. All other considerations, including the truth, are usually secondary and often only as involved as they are regulated to be. I'm actually working on a video on the history of cosmetic regulations with a very exciting special guest, so don't forget to subscribe or you might miss that. While you're there, tell me about the weirdest ad you've ever seen for a hair product down in the comments, and leave a like to tell YouTube this was a worthwhile use of 10, 15 minutes of your day. Just say 15. We all know you're incapable of talking for less time than that. I was trying to make this one shorter. Bets on whether she managed it? That's not fair, they'll already know.